and specifically how they're made. Now this is a fascinating subject for me, but there is a method in my madness. Surfboards, when they're constructed, are what we might call purpose-built. In fact, you could go even further and say that they're designed and made for a specific purpose to a very specific end. Even down to the smallest detail, every facet of a surfboard, its construction, is taken into consideration in that regard. Its shape, its design. So here's 3 examples. These are all modern surfboards. The one on the far left, yes, is a modern longboard, or what we would have called a Malibu. So this is basically an updated version of the sort of surfboards that they were riding in the 1950s and 1960s. The one in the middle is what's called a modern fish. That's based on a design that emerged in the early 1970s. And the one on the right is what's called a shortboard, a modern shortboard or a thruster. They're all clearly different boards, aren't they? And they're suited really for different conditions. They're ridden differently as well. The way that you would ride a longboard is very different from the way that you would ride a shortboard. When you see a longboarder surfing, they do, you know how people used to warp surfboards, you warp to the nose and that sort of thing. Well, you can do that on a longboard.
They're wide too.
That's right, they're a lot wider. And they suit different surf conditions. So longboards, because of the volume of the board, really surf riding small surf. Okay, so if the waves are really small, you want something that's going to help you to paddle onto the wave, that will help you to trim along the wave and that sort of thing. It's actually a bit of an issue a lot of the time in the surf nowadays, because longboards have become very popular for that reason, because you can get more waves. And so they're generally frowned upon. If shortboarders are in the water and there are longboarders, there can be a bit of aggro at times for that reason, because the longboarders take all the waves. The middle board though, the fish, is more suited to sort of surf around about, say, this big, about 3 foot. It's a lot looser. That's the term that surfers use. That means it turns a lot better, so it's a lot looser. It's a lot easier to turn than a longboard, and the thruster is basically the easiest to turn, and you can ride it in really any size surf. Look, I'm sure you can see my point here, though. Horses for courses, in effect. Surfboards, they're purpose-built down to the smallest minutiae of design, okay, and that's representative in that of that image there, where you've got these different boards for different conditions. And when someone is actually building a board, I made one. The last board I made was a couple of years ago. What you do is you get what's called a blank. So that's the foamed inner core of the board, and you shape it. That's the phrase that's used. So the people who make them are called shapers. And using various tools, a planer, a surf form, sandpaper, of course, a saw initially to cut out the shape, and all of that sort of thing. You shape that inner core, and then you laminate it with fiberglass. So you put fiberglass matting on the board, and then you pour resin over the top of it. And it smells, of course, it smells dreadful. And Jen's constantly complaining to me that I seldom wear a mask in the process. But yeah, so you shape the board and then you glass it, and then you wind up with the finished product. Now we're going to watch a short video that basically shows us what that looks like, that process.
In the house, walking around.